Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and we are continuing our series today about the Amazon algorithm changes. And if you haven't listened to our previous episode, I would highly recommend that you do, so you have an overview of what we're going to be talking about in this episode and the next two. So as many of you know, or maybe you don't know, Amazon changed their algorithms last year. And when we created the Perfect Reader Playbook, we did it around this change. And also, if you listen to our panel back in March, Adana Moriarty and Kathleen Kaiser created a program that also works with these changes with Amazon as well. There are a lot of companies out there that just don't know what's going on, and they're still using bestseller campaigns. Bestseller campaigns are not the way to go anymore. And that's because Amazon is playing a long game, and that little spike at the beginning does not work in your favor anymore. So today we're going to be talking about the way content feeds the Amazon algorithm. So the algorithm changes that happened weren't just about keywords. They weren't just about ads. They were about organic traffic and the massive wake-up call about content. And if you've been following my podcast for years, you know that we've been talking for years about the author platform. That's what this is all about, where your leads are coming from. Amazon is Big Brother. It knows where every single referral comes from. It can tell if it comes from a piece of content. It can tell if it comes from an email list. It can tell if it comes from a podcast guest or a podcast, which is why we have encouraged a lot of our clients to start podcasts and run their book as an ad in their podcast. So it's an actual call to action from an ad. So the books and the authors that are winning right now are the ones that are using their content strategically and driving qualified traffic and deepening engagement. And that's going to train what's called the A10. And that's the AI that Amazon is using to favor their listings. So when you understand how to connect your content ecosystem to Amazon's three big levers, the organic reach, organic engagement, and external traffic, you will stop hopping from algorithm or hoping that the algorithm will notice you and start giving it reasons to actually notice you. Because that's what we all do. We put our book up there. We don't, we pay for a campaign of some sort, and we hope it's going to work, and we hope people are going to buy. And if you've been building that author platform, they will buy because you have built an audience and you have layered over time and trained them to understand that you have the solution to their problem. So let's go through this. If we're going to do this, let's do it in steps. So step one, use content to boost your organic reach. So that means the free visibility that Amazon gives you in searches, in categories, and in recommendation carousels. You can't control where you appear directly, but you can influence, and the influences signal the A10 AI to decide whether you deserve more shelf space. Basically, it's just like in a regular bookstore, you're competing for shelf space, even though it's a digital shelf instead of a physical shelf. So here are some things that can really support that reach. First, product page copy, and make sure it matches your search intent. So your title, your subtitle, your description should use the same language your content uses off the platform. So what's the kind of language that's used in your blog post? What about your podcast titles? What about your social media hooks? So readers find those ideas and they find you. So that's the first thing, is make sure everything is in alignment. Your brand is in alignment and everything works the same way. You probably noticed, if you're an author with many books, that Amazon's gotten really fussy about when the book comes in from Ingram, that it matches the ebook description, it matches the audiobook description. If they don't all match perfectly, written, the title, everything in the same way, it's not going to match up automatically. Using A+ content to tell a visual story. So branded modules, comparison charts, image that that mirror your broader content. So frameworks, models, characters, words help Amazon see that you have a cohesive, high quality brand and high quality author platform. So you should be using A+ content. FAQs pulled from your audience questions. The questions you answer in your blogs, in your emails, and your videos should be echoed in your FAQ section to signal relevance and reduce shopper friction. So, whatever those FAQs are, be sure you add them in. And I know this sounds like a lot, but you're really positioning yourself as a brand here. And the brand should be where you started before you started building your platform, before you started writing one word. Off Amazon content that indirectly boosts your search, blog posts that are targeting the same phrases as your book's keywords, all linking together on that Amazon page, podcast episodes built around your book's core problems or themes with clear show note links to Amazon. So if you're a guest, maybe ask if you can have a little bit more input into those show notes. Sometimes that can feel a little sketchy because, we don't want to put our host off. But doing that, having your own podcast definitely adds into that. And if you don't know, the podcast platforms are getting ready, especially Apple, to add video. So you may be able to add your video to your podcast platform as well as your YouTube channel. Social content. So do you have reels? Do you have carousels? Do you have threads? Do they all use the same phrases? Are you, what's on Apple? Is it identical to what you put over on YouTube? What are those keywords you're using in all those places? All this matters. So using your subtitle, using your title pretty much everywhere. Those are going to boost that Amazon reach. Design your content. I would say that is step 2. So now that you know what you need to do, start designing your content for organic engagement, not just clicks. What does that mean? That means engagement is how readers behave once Amazon puts your book in front of them. So do they click? Do they read? Do they buy? This is buyer behavior as well. And this is one of the things that I talked about last time. The last part of that I just left out is do they bounce? So do they click? Do they read? Do they buy? Do they bounce? What do they do here? This buyer engagement is important because in the last episode, I talked about these book club scams that are out there where you get all of these reviews, but they're unverified reviews. And they're not using the language in their book, and it's pretty obvious that they're not actual reviewers on there. So you want to be able to use content that improves click-through rates, so that's your CTR, have consistent visual branding. Use the same or similar imagery, fonts, the color palettes as your content that you use for your book cover, your A+ content, so people instantly recognize your search results on there. So that is really important. That's your brand. So you should be doing that anyway. Repeated hooks and promises, the big idea in your post, the big idea in your episodes or videos should match your subtitle promise. When they see the same promise on Amazon, it fuels it like the natural next step. So they recognize you, they see you, they click. And then the buyer behavior goes from there. Content that improves your conversion rate. This is your CVR. Authority building content. So having case studies, success stories. If you go over to my LinkedIn, I have, I think, like 35 to 40 testimonials over there. And they can tell they're real because they can go back and track them through the LinkedIn platform and see who wrote them. Were they clients? What kind of testimonials were they? Besides behind the scenes work. So talk about what you do behind the scenes, the research you do, how you work with your staff. And then the My Framework pieces that make your Amazon description and reviews more believable because readers have already seen proof of your content. One of the things we talked about in the last episode were those book scams, where I read 2 this morning. I read 2 large in reviews. I produced that book, I published that book, they really didn't have a lot to do with the book. In fact, it was kind of funny because as I was reading them, I was thinking, that sounds like somebody else's book. Another client of mine who is more into the medical community. So, and objection busting content. So blog posts, emails, short videos, things that address the specific fears. I've tried other marketing books, or I don't have time for this. That's one of the objections we get all the time with author platforms. So we have buildings, so we have no problem putting it in our content that if you don't have time, don't write the book, because you're not going to get anywhere without that author platform. So put in that objection busting material that supports your case studies, that supports what you're doing. And, that could be as simple as, what is the cost of you not doing this today? The cost might be that you put out $25,000 to publish a book that nobody reads because you didn't do the first part of what needs to be done for the marketing. And then have content that supports the reviews and post-purchase signals. So reading guides, checklists, mini workbooks that you can give buyers in exchange for joining your list. Have that lead magnet. We encourage that you have a lead magnet before you even have content, because that's the call to action you put on every piece of content. And then implementation content. So how-to videos, Q&As live, bonus chapters that help people use your book in a more cohesive way. That might be a journal that is with it, that maybe you have a download. Somebody can go to your site and they can download an ebook journal that they can go through and journal as they're going through your book, or how-to, or notes about your book. So all of those makes Amazon traffic work harder for you. And when shoppers who already trust you and see your listing, they are far more likely to click, stay, and buy, and that's what you want. The clicks often tell you that when they don't buy, and we see this with PromoCast all the time. Author PromoCast was one of our things that we designed just for authors to drive more traffic to their book. It's ads that are inside of apps, everyday apps, the bigger apps that are out there. We see a lot when self-published authors come back and we can show them, you got 400 clicks. How many buys did you get? And they'll say, we got 10 buys. Well, if 400 people clicked and 10 people bought, we need to go back and look and see what's going on with that, either that audience or what's going on with that book. Do you have the right metadata? Is your cover attractive? What does your back cover copy look like? I talked to someone on Monday of this week who was self-published that had his hands up, like, what do I do? Nobody's buying the book. Well, I looked at the cover. The cover was not attractive. The back cover copy wasn't really written like copy. And those are the types of things that people notice right away. Remember that book cover is your first impression. So if it's not up to date or people don't understand it, it may not be eye-catching. We have an author who actually had a beautiful cover that she brought us that was done by AI. We had to modify it a little. It still came out really nice, but when AI did it, it put 135 levels of layers in there. You can't do that if you're a designer, if it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars to design a cover. But we got close, and it was very attractive. So how do you turn your external traffic into Amazon in a way that actually rewards for it? So this would be your step 3. So external traffic is where the content really becomes a ranking engine for you. Amazon is explicitly rewarding listings that bring in buyers from the outside. So that means that your CTA on a high content blog post, have your articles SEO optimized around your book's topic with clear calls to action. Get the full framework in the book on Amazon would be a great example, and then provide the link. Podcast content, solo episodes that break down one chapter at a time. We have a book right now, Christine Silverstein, that's exactly what she did, a limited series podcast that goes through the chapters of her book. Another author interviewed her about every chapter of her book. So she has, or she will by the time we're done, 12 episodes out there. She also wrote that book in Arabic She had it translated. So we will be doing that limited series in a podcast as well in Arabic. And that's something that's really exciting now too, is that Amazon has added Arabic books to their repertoire. And I will tell you from a publishing standpoint, it's a little bit difficult because everything is backwards. Luckily, when we did this book, we had a lot of help from our client's husband who reads Jewish or Hebrew books. So he was a little bit more familiar with that backward concept. Video content. Make sure that you have micro lessons, shorts. Shorts are so fun to make, and especially if you're a podcaster who's using video, you can just run that episode right through Opus and get some really good clips to promote with. And then you can put your CTA, your call to action for the book, there. So take those live breakdowns, take some case studies, Q&A clips, make them pinned content, have descriptions, and point to your Amazon page. Social content. Become a serial poster. That doesn't mean that you're an influencer. Quite frankly, I think the whole influencer thing is kind of silly, the people who make money that way. And I know a lot of people look at them and go, oh, that's so easy. No, it's not easy. There's a lot of content that has to be produced. It actually is a very difficult job. So have threads, content, or carousels, story arcs. Use transformational teases in all of this. And use your book as the point where people can go and get more of this stuff. And so have that link there as your call to action on every piece. The key here is intent. When your content warms people up around a specific problem, which remember, that's what the Perfect Reader Playbook is all about, the unaware phase to the problem phase to the solution phase. You're telling people, you're showing people that here are the symptoms of this problem. I have a solution. It's a book, product, program, or service. So you're actually following the Perfect Reader Playbook guideline for all of this Amazon algorithm that's new. So step 4, build content funnels, not just one-off posts. So most authors will create content. They'll have, a LinkedIn newsletter once a week. That's it. A random blog, a social post here and there. You have to be consistent. Amazon is looking for consistency. So build your content as intentional funnels that lead into Amazon. So have that weekly blog post, have that weekly podcast, have that weekly YouTube. We have all three because of the way our podcast is set up. We do audio, we do video, then it's written into an article. We have some of it as a blog. So we have all three, and the content runs into Amazon. So be sure and do that with all of these on there, and send that link in to buy the book, because that's where these the CTAs are going to get you more visibility there. Social posts, pulling 1 or 2 key insights from every piece. That creates curiosity. Have that. Have a lead magnet. I don't even say have a lead magnet. We usually produce 3 to 4 a year because different things are going to entice different people. And that goes back to the Perfect Reader Playbook as well. Each of those 5 stages has a different way you engage your audience. So have a lead magnet at every single stage so you're engaging people in a different way. And again, make that CTA your book or your Amazon author page, something that goes into Amazon. A short email sequence. So if you're putting together a lead magnet, you probably have a drip campaign behind it. Make the CTA your book every time, or most of the time in that drip campaign. We always suggest that you put a PS at the end. Hey, PS, have you subscribed to our LinkedIn newsletter? PS, are you following us on Instagram? Hey, PS, have you bought our new book? Always have places in that PS where people can find you. Step 5, repurpose. That's the great thing about content, is you can repurpose it across multiple channels. I just mentioned what we do. We record this podcast that I'm recording right now is in audio for all of the audio platforms. It's in video. We have it on YouTube. We break it up into opus clips. We have a blog written. We have articles in our magazine. We have articles in other people's magazine from it. So we are repurposing it over and over and over. So take that long form post or that podcast and break it up, just like I told you. Make it a multi-channel promotion for your book with all of those multi-channels feeding back into Amazon. And then each one posts right back into that Amazon and using the same central language that you've been using all along. Over time, this consistent content-driven demand is going to start catching the eye of the Amazon AI in there. And step 6, measure what content the algorithm likes so you can do more of it. This is a big bone of contention with me. So many people, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, I don't look at my analytics. I should be doing and you should be doing more of what people like. So if you're doing social media posts and you're finding that you're getting more engagement with a certain kind of post, that's the time you start doing more of those posts. So I want to invite you all to go over. We have a free webinar you can download and work with at your own pace this the whole month of May. You can find it at the Perfect Reader PlaybookWebinar.com, and you can work at your own pace and you can see how the Perfect Reader Playbook really helps all of this develop over time. All right, I'll see you next week. And we're going to be talking about next week. We're going to dive into this even more with another niche area.